Hello, dear friends. Futuristic topics are sometimes more spectacular than mystical, psychic, or spiritual issues, although both are important. But today, Sunday, I give preference to the more striking. This shift from darkness to light that governs our planet is vastly more complex than the human brain can really grasp, according to Mrs. Blossom Gottchild. Opinion article: World's first Martian city. Mars Science City in Dubai. To be fully operational by 2023. To live in extreme temperatures and low gravity. Mars colonization and human settlement are desired. Nuclear rocket could take astronauts to Mars. First integrated model of the atmosphere of the planet Mars. Pacific Ocean hides spacecraft graveyard. Alan Shepard's 1961 golf ball found on the moon. 30-meter UFO enters the interior of the Popocatepetl volcano in Mexico. Hundreds march through Copenhagen to protest against blockade. Pelosi to pay $5,000 for violating Capitol security protocols. Supermarket helps singles to find partners in the state of Bavaria, Germany. Let's start. The United Arab Emirates is building the first Martian city on Earth. This unprecedented engineering feat, costing $140 million, is designed to support one of Dubai's clear objectives: to conquer Mars before any other place does. We are talking about Mars Science City, an authentic Martian city being built in the desert of Dubai. Mars has a thin atmosphere and no magnetic field, so there is little protection against harmful radiation. Temperature is another problem. The average of Mars is 63 degrees centigrade degrees negative. The thin atmosphere also means that there is little air pressure, so liquids evaporate quickly into gas. It's a complex the size of 30 saucer fields, located in the middle of the desert. One of the materials used for its construction is unsurprisingly the city's iconic desert sand, emulating the rusty dust of Mars. The United Arab Emirates unveiled its 100-year plan to colonize Mars and establish the first habitable human settlement on the red planet. This peculiar artificial city will give shelter to the inhabitants who want to live this unsurpassable experience. The society that will be installed there will live in the same conditions as on Mars, including the low gravity and low pressure, in addition to the isolation of the distant planet, and with underground facilities in the form of domes designed with 3D printers. It is also intended to have a tourist objective, as it will have a museum, theater, and an interpretation center. Project. In 2017, the United Arab Emirates publicly announced its ambition to be the first human beings to colonize Mars, setting itself the challenge of doing so in the next 100 years. And from there was born the idea of this futuristic city that breaks with the way we understand ecosystem. This new mega project aims to observe the practice through architecture, what a Martian vernacular architecture would be like, a construction with which they intend to make a design that has low gravity, low pressure, and radiation levels controlled throughout its heights. This space, which will serve as a test to observe what life of Mars would be like will have a size of 176,000 square meters. With a total cost of $130 million, this new megastructure in the form of a glass dome aims to design artificial micro-ecosystems that would allow life on the red planet. These ecosystems would be realized throughout so-called pressurized biodomes, which would be covered with a transparent polyethylene membrane and would simply serve to maintain comfortable temperature and habitable air pressure. Science stars. Dubai is a city where firefighters wear jetpacks. Archipelagos are built from scratch and buildings climb into the clouds. A slippery metropolis in the middle of a vast red desert like Mars. And in the year 2009, the production Stars of Science was launched, a reality TV program in which representatives from several Arab countries, including the United Arab Emirates, participate with the scientific or technological project, and where the winner is the contestant with the most innovative project to obtain a financial prize of $300,000. The United Arab Emirates has already installed a number of artificial satellites in Earth orbit, although in 2015 it formally inaugurated its first space agency. The agency regulates and supports the aerospace sector in the Emirates to help integrate various divisions of the space industry. The Emirates Mars mission probe, called HOPE, was created the first integrated model of the atmosphere of the planet Mars around 2020. Astronautics. A nuclear-powered rocket could get astronauts to Mars faster. By 2035, NASA wants to get humans to Mars, but it would be a mammoth feat to reach the red planet, some 140 million miles away, colder than Antarctica, and with very little oxygen. Mars is a hostile environment. The longer it takes astronauts to get there, and the longer they stay, the more at risk they are. That's why scientists are looking for ways to reduce travel time. Seattle-based ultra-safe nuclear technologies has proposed a solution, a nuclear thermal propulsion engine that could get humans from Earth to Mars in just 3 months. Currently, the shortest possible trip for a unnamed spacecraft is 7 months, but the named mission is expected to take at least 9 months. The Pacific Ocean hides a spacecraft graveyard. The most remote place on Earth is known by a few names, such as Point Nemo, Latin for no one, or Oceanic Pole of Inaccessibility. This place is almost 2,700 kilometers away from anywhere on Earth, which makes it the perfect place to dump obsolete or non-functional spacecraft. That is why it is home to what NASA has dubbed its spacecraft graveyard. It is in the Pacific Ocean, and it is practically the farthest place from any human civilization that can be found, NASA explained. Alan Shepard's 1961 golf ball found on the moon. To mark the 50th anniversary of Apollo 14, British imaging specialist Andy Saunders, who is working on a book called Apollo Remastered, located both golf balls on the surface of the moon, and using digital enhancement techniques and video sequence stacking, he revealed that the first ball landed at a distance of 22 meters, while the second ball landed at 36 meters. An asteroid more than 1 kilometer in diameter will pass Earth in March. Although it has a considerable size and speed, the asteroid doesn't appear to pose a clear and imminent threat to our planet, as it will apparently pass us at a distance far greater than the distance between the Earth and the Moon. Trojan asteroid discovered in Earth's orbit. Astronomers have recently discovered an object that shares Earth's orbital path around the Sun and may actually be a Trojan asteroid. If confirmed, it will be only the second object of this type identified to date. Trojan asteroids are space rocks that share the orbital path of larger planetary bodies in the solar system, hanging out in gravitationally stable regions known as Lagrangian points. 30-meter UFO accesses the interior of the Popocatepetl volcano in Mexico. Experts in the field have detected a mysterious white object which some have claimed was a UFO, directly accessing the interior of the Popocatepetl volcano near Mexico City. The sighting was made through webcams that constantly monitor the 5,426 meter high volcano, colloquially called El Popo or Don Goyo. The video shows how a white UFO appears to be heading towards the crater of El Popo at high speed. Climatology. Weather science. Saharan sand settles on snow. A soft, milky yellowish light has covered parts of the eastern France and Switzerland, previously leaving a sandy rain in the east of the Iberian Peninsula. The yellow-orange skies on Saturday are due to the Sirocco, a strong dry wind accompanied by sandy rain from the Sahara Desert. Climate emergency. The familiar narrative of a climate emergency is not supported by a wealth of observational data, according to a new paper published by the Global Warming Policy Foundation. Contrary to popular belief, there is little evidence of harmful trends from the impact of global warming. Denmark to build the world's first wind energy island. Located in the North Sea, the complex is expected to be able to power some 10 million homes. Denmark has reached a landmark agreement for the construction of the world's first wind energy island, which will be located in the North Sea, some 80 kilometers off the Jutland Peninsula, with a total area of at least 120,000 square meters. The offshore power plant will collect and send environmentally friendly electricity from hundreds of wind turbines to consumers in the countries surrounding the North Sea. Europe. Hundreds marched through Copenhagen to protest blockade. People opposed to the Danish government's response to the health crisis marched through the capital in a new protest on Saturday. Unlike some previous events, this week's gathering remained peaceful and didn't lead to arrests. On Sunday night, hundreds of protesters walked through central Copenhagen in front of the Parliament building, carrying torches and flares, chanting slogans and playing music that included their unofficial anthem, a version of the Italian partisan classic Bella Ciao. Eurozone recovery delayed. Europe's recovery from a health crisis-induced recession has been delayed somewhat, but should accelerate from mid-year. European Central Bank President Christine Lagarde said in comments published by a French newspaper on Sunday. ECB doesn't want to write off debts. European Central Bank Chief Christine Lagarde rejected calls to cancel debts incurred by Eurozone members to maintain their economies during blockades. The call comes shortly after the regulators group of more than 100 economists called for further boosting economic recovery in Eurozone nations by writing off their debts. Dutch government pledged to return all stolen colonial era artifacts to their countries of origin. The document released in October called for an acknowledgement that an injustice was done to the local populations of former colonial territories when cultural objects were taken against their will, and recommended that those artifacts be returned to the former colonies. A supermarket helps singles find a partner in Germany. The establishment proposed to be a meeting point as cinemas, restaurants and bars remain closed. The supermarket in Germany has decided to help singles find a partner during the health crisis in the town of Popocatepetl in the state of Bavaria. Thus, interested people can come on Fridays from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. to try to meet someone else, local media report. Health crisis. World food prices soared to 6-year high. World food prices rose in January for the 8th consecutive month, led by cereals, vegetable oils and sugar, according to a report by the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, FAO. The cereal price index showed a strong monthly increase of 7.1%, driving to a global increase in the price of maize, which soared to 11.2% and are now 42.3% above their January 2020 level. France, Poland and Sweden rule out using AstraZeneca injection in the elderly. Health authorities in France, Poland and Sweden on Tuesday recommended against using the inoculation developed by AstraZeneca in the elderly. They joined Germany and Italy, which made the same recommendation last week. The French and Swedish health experts cite insufficient clinical trial data for the elderly. Politics. Josh Schultz dies. Josh Pratt Schultz, Secretary of State under President Ronald Reagan, has died at the age of 100 years. As Secretary of State, Schultz played a key role in implementing a foreign policy that led to the successful conclusion of the Cold War. Time magazine claims there was a conspiracy. Social media giants even undertook censorship measures to punish those who claimed that there were anomalies in the polls. Almost immediately, the executive director of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce resigned. Trump's lawyers will use videos of Democrats inciting violence during impeachment defense. Bruce Castor, the former president's lead impeachment defense lawyer, said he will use video clips of top Democrats encouraging violence during the upcoming impeachment trial that begins Monday. The defense team argued in the brief that the Constitution requires that the person actually hold office to be impeached, and that the former president is exercising her First Amendment right to free speech by questioning the outcome of the election. Pelosi paid $5,000 for violating Capitol security protocols. After House Speaker Nancy Pelosi violated Capitol security protocols, some Republican lawmakers demanded that she be fined the $5,000 he shot herself. Pelosi apparently evaded going through the metal detector that was recently installed at the access of the House, a security measure rejected by several congressmen. U.S. convoy attacked in Iraq. A logistics convoy carrying supplies for the U.S.-led coalition in Iraq was hit by an improvised explosive device about 50 miles south of Baghdad. India. A red alert in India after Himalayan glacier burst. A massive glacier burst triggered an avalanche that affected the hydroelectric dam and caused flash flooding of several areas in northern India. The incident could have resulted in the death of 100 to 150 people. 9 Christians arrested in India for alleged forced conversions. Police arrested 9 Christians in central India based on complaints of forced conversions by a Hindu nationalist group. Asia News reported Friday. Bizarre footage from an Indian security camera shows a motorcycle moving along at night. The video in question was posted on the Twitter account of film producer Amber Saidi on Tuesday, February 2nd, who commented on the spook scene. India is a mysterious country and has countless stories that have no logical explanation and continue to pique our curiosity to this day. These are similar to the existence of the Loch Ness Monster and the Yeti, but like any other place, it also has a plethora of haunted places. From Bhangar Fort in Rajasthan, Bhangar Fort in Rajasthan, where no one is allowed to enter after sunset, to Ramoji Film City in Hyderabad, a film studio complex where spirits haunt women more than men. From Kuldara, the abandoned village in Rajasthan, to the royal place of Shaniwar Wada in Pune, where the screams of a murdered prince are heard at night. All these places have a terrorizing story to tell. Did the Amazon warrior women of Greek mythology really exist? Amazons are quite popular characters in Greek mythology, but did they really exist? For a long time, scientists believed they didn't, but archaeological findings suggest that these warrior women actually lived centuries ago. That's the last. Why is innocence killed? This morning I was haunted by a childhood memory, and I couldn't help it. I remember as a child I found tied in a drawer in my grandmother's Louisa's kitchen a beautiful little white pigeon, which was the image of innocence and purity, and I was smitten with the little dove. In my childish innocence, I thought it was for breeding, but when I found out that the cook had cut its throat to make soup for my grandmother, I didn't believe it, and I still don't believe it. This case is a symbol of the atrocities that are committed in the world, with all kinds of divine creatures. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, friends.